We have a retired police officer from North Texas who served in the military, including a tour in Afghanistan and deployments in Afghanistan and other locations. He is a trainer, firearms trainer of law enforcement, of other trainers, and of corporations and civilians. And he is exactly who we need to speak to about these mass shootings, how to prevent them, etc. And the scariest thing that I heard today was that there was nothing that could have been done to prevent this one. There was nothing that could have been done to prevent this. And I want to let Bryan, the instructor who I'm telling you about, who you can check out at gostrapped.com. That's gostrapped.com. Bryan, thanks for holding and thanks for staying with us for another segment, sir.
Absolutely.
Oh, and by the way, we're going to have our friends on from Texas Law Shield coming up at 9:30 to talk about legality for folks in terms of what's legal, what's not for weapons, and the kind of legal questions. Because there's a question now. Of course, we're not in Nevada, but still, federally, what's legal, what's not with modifying these weapons. So, Bryan, the scary thing is that an expert on Fox News said, and you said he's exactly right, there's nothing that could have been done to prevent this. Tell us why.
There's just absolutely, when you think about the pure logistics, first of all, it goes against every criteria really that you look for. You've got to go by the stats on this stuff. There's no way that officers can predict. So we go the highest number of probabilities, and that's going to be someone in the crowd doing something like that. You can't verify every angle. You can't check every angle, and you certainly can't clear every hotel room within a vantage view of that area. I was just there in April. And then I was right at that spot, and there's absolutely no way. There are millions and millions upon angles that you would have to deal with there, and it's just impossible.
Does this mean that we can't have outdoor concerts unless it's at an established venue? You know what I mean, like a place?
No, absolutely not. I think if you do that, they win. I think there are things such as we stop talking about their names, we stop giving them credence, we start giving them credibility. And these things will go away. If you look at the stats, they have astronomically gone up in numbers since Columbine. And there's a reason for that. It's because it becomes, we start talking about them. And I think that's one thing that we can do immediately. Not necessarily stop talking about the event, stop talking about the people. He's not a person in our eyes anymore. He's someone else.
So 32nd floor. 2 to 3 football fields away. Bryan, you and I, with carrying a 9mm or 40mm, 9 or 40, we could not have done anything.
There's no way. In fact, when I certified teachers to carry guns in classrooms for active shooters, I'm one of the 40 instructors in the state that can do that. We actually put them out to the 50-yard line. And most of them at the 50-yard line out of 10 shots hit 1 or 2. And these are actual certified people who have gone through extra training to carry guns. And at 50 yards, it's almost impossible to hit a target. And that's at a straight line.
And that's 50 yards. This would have been 6 times that distance going upward to the 32nd floor. There's no way in HE double hockey sticks that anybody could hit that guy with a handgun, right?
And that's one of the reasons you didn't see the law enforcement rock the front of the side of the building with all their ARs. It's just it's an impossible shot. Going upstairs, it's just not going to happen.
Not only that, but they would have had to have shot up, and they could have hit somebody and killed somebody that was looking out their hotel window. Like, a floor,
look at
couple floors down, or a floor, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And you look at what the bad guy's aiming at. He's not aiming at people. He's aiming at what we call a group target. There's area targets, group targets, and there's individuals. And he's not aiming. He's got a giant group target, and he's just aiming at the giant group. And he knows those rounds are going to land somewhere in there. And that's what he was going for.
The conditions made it so easy to kill. There were walls for people that couldn't run away. Walls keeping the crowd from getting, from people from getting in that didn't belong in on the concert. What do you think about that? Is there anything that could have been changed on that? What about the hotel, liability on the hotel, with them being able to set up this little fortress in there and sniper's nest?
I don't think there's anything in the hotel unless we want everybody going through all of our bags.
No.
When we check in a hotel room, and it's not going to happen. That's a violation of our rights right there. Now, I guess if they want to do it, that's their private property, but whatever. You can talk about, barricades and loosening up some barricades so people can get out easier. But either way, you're talking about minimizing risk. And that's one of the things that we train corporations is how to minimize the risk. We don't train how to stop it. There's no way. Once it's started, you can't stop it. You're going to have to minimize the risk and mitigate the dangers.
What could we do in this situation when we're in the middle of it getting fired upon? Do we run in a zigzag? Do we just get on the ground and hit the dirt and not run? What do we do?
Well, one thing we talk about is literally try not to live in the denial. We call it social proof. If the guy in front of me is not scared, then I'm not scared. And then that filters throughout the whole crowd, and you saw that on those videos. And it's time and time again we see that. If you think there's gunshots and you say, hey, that's gunshots, guess what it is? Treat it like it's gunshots. And if it's fireworks, deal with that later. You know, I mean, we need to stop being so worried about a society of overreacting, and now we're underreacting. And I think that's some of the issue that we're dealing with here. I mean, look how fast Jason Aldean got off that stage. Somebody told him in his ear, hey, there's gunshots, and guess what he did? He took off. He didn't think twice about it, really. But what did everybody else in the crowd do? And you heard so many stories about people minimizing what they thought they heard. And I said, well, yeah, it sounds like gunshots.
I've got audio of that right here. Listen to that.
We don't know what's happening. Get the it is. Get behind. Get behind. He's fine. He's fine. Come on. Get in there, babe. Morgan's been. Yes, it is. It's a gunshot, right? It is.
It's a helicopter. They're arguing.
That's exactly what, when you look at the Virginia Tech shooting, one of the things that all the students said in the classroom was that must be construction. Or they must be doing fireworks. Fireworks was a very, very popular thing in every one of the shootings. Well, why would they be doing fireworks in the middle of the school, in the middle of the day during school? It doesn't make any sense. And so we've got to start listening to our bodies, listening to our minds. And I guarantee you, every veteran out there and every police officer who had heard gunfire before, guess what they thought? They knew exactly it was gunfire. And I think you can see in a lot of those videos, story after story after story, and vision after vision of veterans, police officers, and first responders immediately jumping into action. And that's what we've got to understand is that listen to your brains. Listen to your brains and obey it. And then if you're wrong, who cares? But it's better to listen to it than not.
Bryan Proctor, you are an asset to this show. You also worked with Crimes Against Children. There's so many aspects that I appreciate of you. As a servant, a retired law enforcement officer in North Texas, training trainers, training law enforcement, training civilians and companies. I want folks to be able to check you out at ghostrap.com. That's ghostrap.com. Bryan, thank you for your time. Thank you for your service and protection, and we look forward to having you on again down the road, and we appreciate you, sir.
Well, thank you, sir. Anytime.
All right, man. There he goes. Appreciate him very much.